Welcome back to another week on the Catholic Toolbox, the Art of Practical Catholicism. I'm your host and founder, George Manassa, here as we equip you with practical solutions to live your Catholic faith in our modern world of today. And there can't be more of a challenge in this day and age than raising Catholic children. So that's why I brought in founder of Catholic Apparel and father, Andre.
Thank you.
Welcome
George,
aboard.
how are you?
I'm well. It's so great to have you here, and just I know you bumped into me before the studio, and then you saw the St. Michael on my back, and then I saw your St. Michael, and then
as I was coming into the studio, I bumped into a father and daughter wearing St. Michael. Then we had a visitor come in wearing St. Michael, so he's obviously with us tonight.
He's with us tonight. I mean, I love the whole story of Catholic Apparel. I know you were on Parousia podcast last week with Shaba Raish and Salva Elias, and that was a phenomenal episode here. So you were here in studio, and I really did enjoy the whole story of how Catholic Apparel was formed, and many people are enjoying it, and they're loving the production of theological t-shirts, things to help us with our faith and to evangelize. But let's start off by, for those who don't know you, just give us a bit of a rundown about yourself as a father and how you came to found Catholic Apparel, and then we'll go into speaking about your family life and how to actually get down and raise children, especially as I'm looking forward to getting married myself.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can teach me a thing or two.
Hopefully I can. Well, with Catholic Apparel, or actually before that, I'm a cradle Catholic, born and raised in a strong Maronite home, and did the usual sort of running through life. And at one point in my life, when I was working in the professional area, I was working in a blue chip company, and this is kind of where Catholic Apparel began. Mm-hmm. And obviously I've been in the faith my entire life, and a few series of incidents in my life brought it even closer to me. So when I'm working in this professional field, I'm working as a Maronite 100% in everything that I do, whether it's answering emails, whether it's talking to my manager, and how we approach our fellow co-workers.
Yep.
So it's just inbuilt. And I saw that the culture change overnight, essentially, and especially around the marriage debate, which I've mentioned previously. I mean, that was definitely a pivotal point in the Catholic Apparel journey. And essentially, it just came down to the fact that they were wearing colours and celebrating their colours, and you knew who they were by their colours.
Right. Yes.
Okay?
That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah. And I thought to myself, well, what are we doing? We're just... I mean, there were pockets of people who were really vocal about it, but in the workplace, it stopped at that point.
It stopped.
Outside is outside. In the workplace is a different story. And so
it's all like we compartmentalize our faith in the workplace. We're Catholic up till Sunday evening, and then we go back to work, and I hate that.
Yeah,
I can't stand that.
That's right.
Yep.
And 30,000 employees. Surely there's 5 or 10,000 that are Catholic out of that 30,000.
Yep. So
and we could easily make a noise.
Yep.
But for some reason there wasn't any noise, and so essentially I stood my ground in a loving and reverent way through the power of the Holy Spirit, and God gave me the idea that we need to represent, and essentially if they can wear it purple, then we can wear it Catholic, and that's what it came down to. And so I immediately thought of that, and I said, I am going to do this. There is no doubt about it. I want to do this, and I want people to recognise Catholics walking in the street. And essentially...
Because the other side was wearing the rainbow, and they were wearing it proudly, and they were walking in the street, so you wanted to counteract that.
Exactly.
Yes.
And not only that, but the clothes that we wear, they are all using our money against us. Yes, and like I said, I'm not comfortable with that. So an example would be, I was browsing Rebel Sports the other day.
Yep.
And I'm sure we've all bought from Rebel Sports in our history. And the Rebel Sports logo was recolored to the rainbow colours, and that that's exactly what my story is about. We're wearing and supporting all these organisations.
Yeah, so by buying from
and they don't
them,
care about
inevitably.
us. They don't care about us. And so that's essentially why Catholic Apparel started. And I started online in 2018.
Yep.
And started popping up at different events.
So you had a pop-up store.
Had a pop-up
Yes.
store. So online and then pop-up stores where all our proceeds from apparel sold would go to charity,
yep.
depending on what the pop-up was for. And over time, the name started to spread. People started seeing shirts around, and it just started getting bigger and bigger. Now we've managed to open a retail store in Belfield in New South Wales.
And for those who want to come and visit, where are you located exactly?
It's 11A Burwood Road in Belfield.
So it's 11A Burwood Road in Belfield. So be sure if you're around the area to check it out. Or if alternatively people can't get there, they can buy online.
That's right.
They can check
out.
With...
It's right near Mancini's, opposite the Australian Post Office.
So it's very accessible.
Yeah,
it's pretty central in Sydney. So people want to go check out, try
that's
on
right. That's
Catholic
right.
Apparel. So that's absolutely amazing. And then you started and it sort of took off. And now... I mean, really, that's a great example to your children, your family, and so many other families, because it's great to see so many people around the Catholic community in Australia wearing Catholic apparel, and they have their children wearing it. You have all sizes.
That's right.
So let's talk about those all sizes as the family unit.
That's right.
And you're a proud father of
100%. Three here and 3 in heaven.
Yes.
And, my youngest boy, Charbel,
yep.
he calls it Catholic for Parole. and the other day he drew a picture of Saint Rafa,
yep.
and he goes, "Dad, can you make a Catholic apparel shirt of Saint Rafa?"
Yes.
Yeah, Saint Rafa.
For those who don't know, Saint Rafa is the third, I believe, canonized Maronite saint.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. She's an amazing saint. Amazing saint. You need to watch her story. I think it's got subtitles. You can find it on.
A video about her.
You can find it on YouTube.
Yeah,
it's a movie with subtitles.
Yep.
And so. Yeah, so that's an example. My son Peter and my daughter Claudette, they're always asking for different designs and they're giving me input. So at the end of the day, although Catholic Apparel started for the reason that we needed to be louder and prouder in our faith.
During the marriage debate time.
Exactly. In the end, and at the end of the day, it's about my family, because our goal, obviously, on earth, and our mission on earth is to know God, love God, serve God, and be with Him forever in heaven. All right,
That's
hopefully,
right.
God
Absolutely.
willing. And so, the parent, I mentioned this last week. So the job of me and my wife is to get my kids into heaven.
Absolutely.
The job of my wife is to get me into heaven, and the job of my job is to get my wife into heaven.
And your children to heaven.
Yeah,
and
so
that's
together.
what we're about
That's
here
right.
on the Catholic Toolbox. As we said in the intro, to get to heaven. I mean, that's the goal. Because it's sort of like today in the church, we've forgotten what the real deal is. We get so distracted with all these side, projects and things and social justice and charity. That's all good. But I think a lot of Catholics have forgotten we're here for business. We're here to get to heaven. Our Lord established His kingdom on earth. There is the kingdom of heaven. We need to, we're in spiritual warfare every day. We have to fight for our salvation. The enemy of our souls it wants us damned. There is a heaven and there is a hell. We are called to fight to get to heaven. That's what we're about in the Catholic Toolbox. We want practical solutions. And there can't be anything more practical than such a great example there, what you've done with Catholic Apparel. Or, again, you're linking it back to the salvation of souls. This is all. Let's not forget our purpose for those listening. We are here for the salvation of souls. We're here to save ourselves and get ourselves closer to God further and further, and to sanctify others and bring people to heaven. I was just actually listening to... I met somebody 2 weeks ago while we were getting ice cream, me and my fiancée, and it turned out to be one of her colleagues, and her husband was received into the church last year. And I said, so how'd you come to the faith? He said, I used to work at a fairly secular organisation. I won't mention the name. But there was a Catholic man there, and then we used to catch up, and then he sort of brought me to the Catholic faith. And now he's working on bringing somebody else in the same workplace.
How awesome is that?
That is phenomenal.
How awesome is that?
When was the last time we brought somebody in the workplace back to the Catholic faith? Or we did something in the workplace to bring people back to the Catholic faith? But like with anything in the church, the Dominicans were born to fight the Albigensian heresy. Sure, the Albigensian heresy was fought, but out of that came the Dominican order. And now out of that situation of the marriage debate came Catholic apparel, and it's now flourishing. So let's talk a bit about your role as a father and how are you raising your kids, because I need some advice. I'm learning from different people who are obviously practicing the faith and doing their best to live a holy Catholic life in the family. But what do you see as fundamental pillars about how you run your family to live the Catholic faith and get to heaven?
So I think that the first thing I'll say is this is just my way of how I approach it, and I'm sure there are many other fathers who have other ways of approaching it and achieve the same result. So that's the first thing I'll say. Okay?
There must be still common ground as well.
Absolutely. There's common ground, and I think the most important thing first of all is that the husband and wife, or the mother and father, are united first of all. Okay, so we're united on the same team. Okay, and we are both in a state of sanctifying grace. Okay, so in other words, don't be in mortal sin. And and go to confession regularly. Right, and let your children see that you're going to confession regularly. Make sure they see it. Okay, because it's very important. They're seeing mum and dad going to confession, and so as soon as it's their time to go to confession, they want to be just like mum and dad. So that's the first thing. The reason why I say that is because if you're in mortal sin, all right, or if you're sinning, the goal of the devil when we sin is to separate us and isolate us. Okay, and so if you're in mortal sin, I guarantee you're going to be in an angry mood. You're either going to be yelling, losing your temper very, very quickly.
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
And not many people mention that.
No.
Talk about, a prerequisite being in the state of sanctifying grace.
100%. I'm telling you, yeah. So, and just not being present with the family. Okay, just not being present because you're just over it. You're upset and whatever. Okay.
Yes.
So the most important thing is you go to confession regularly. All right, that's number one.
Yes.
And if you've got that sorted, then the rest you'll be in a great. I mean, when you come out of confession, how good do you feel? You feel
it's
amazing.
Absolutely amazing. I mean, before you come out, just when the priest says, "I absolve you of your sin," in the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, and it's just like power, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, power.
Amazing.
So you're staring up at that crucifix. It's just.
So you can't give what you don't. You can't give what you don't have.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay?
Yes.
So
I love that. I really respect that.
So first of all, you have to be in a good position yourself.
Yes.
Okay, making use of the sacraments.
Yes.
So that's the first thing. Okay. The second thing is we need to watch out what we're doing, how we're speaking, what we're watching. Everything that we do is on display for our children. Have you ever heard of the funny stories where, a kid would be at school, for example, and they'd say, "Oh, Mummy was yelling about something the other day," or "Daddy was saying something the other day," obviously in the privacy of your own home.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's fine. But they're watching, they're sponges. Okay, so
kids notice things.
They notice things. Okay, they notice things.
Even before the age of reason.
If you're arguing with your wife,
even let's say they're 4, 5,
they do.
Fairly young, which most parents I've observed dismiss the fact that kids are young. They won't notice.
They notice.
They notice.
They all notice.
Wow.
Sometimes they might swear and they go, "Where did you learn that?
No.
Where did you learn that term from?" And you may have been in an incident where you were stuck in traffic. Someone's cut you off, and you've sworn. Okay, we've all been there. Okay, but these are the little areas that we need to make sure we're on top of.
Yep.
Because they're watching all the time. Okay, and if we're telling them, for example, get off your device while we're on our device.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't do that.
Off your device.
You can't do that.
Yep.
Okay, so
you have to lead by example.
Lead by example with your actions.
Okay, yep. Okay. So most especially that goes into confession, prayer. So even as they're young, you begin teaching them how to pray. You show them that you're living it, and you draw them into your prayer
That's
life
right.
naturally. That
That's
you
right.
you said that the foundation is the both of you and your wife need to be on the same page in the state of grace, and then you draw your kids
That's right.
into what you're naturally living anyway, with or without.
That's exactly right.
Yep.
And so, if the mother and father aren't holding the cross,
Yes.
then it falls on the children. So it's very important. You need to maintain that platform.
That's a powerful way to
Okay.
actually explain it. The cross falls on the children.
It does. They have
Wow.
to carry it. They have to carry it. And obviously this isn't in any order, but I think it was important for me to say right at the beginning, be in a state of sanctifying grace.
Yep.
Okay. Obviously going to church every week. I know we suffered a lot during the pandemic.
Yep.
And some people still haven't routinely got back into Mass yet. And they're kind of in a comfort zone. And that has to stop. You need to get back into Mass.
Yep.
Even if your kid is crying at Mass. Okay? As they say, if there's no crying in a church, then it's a dying church.
Yes, that's fine. That's
Okay.
we want crying.
We
kids,
want crying
Where
kids.
I go to Mass, traditional Latin Mass, it's all you hear is crying. Apart from the beautiful Gregorian chant, it's packed with young people. 3/4 of the church is young people, kids everywhere.
Yeah.
It's amazing. So we want young children. We want kids.
So we want them
Yep.
to understand that church is home.
Yes.
And so the more you take them to church, the more they'll get that feeling
Yep.
of comfort. I'm at home now. I can sit here in front of the tabernacle, pray. There doesn't have to be an active Mass service, but go to church as much
pray,
as possible.
visit the Blessed Sacrament.
At least once a week. At least. Try more, especially during Lent. There's obviously daily Mass available during Lent.
Well, it's the same with the gym. We don't say I'm going to go once a week. We want to go as often as possible to get fitter and fitter.
Yeah.
So if you want to get spiritually fitter, sure, obviously the Sunday obligation is the minimum because that's keeping the Sabbath holy. But then if you want to get fitter and fitter spiritually, I'd be going every day, which is as I do.
That's right. That's
right. I don't like the midday Mass because it's too much going on. I need to wake up early, sacrifice that hour of sleep, and get to Mass.
Start the day.
Yeah.
Start the day.
I don't know where I'd be without daily Mass.
Jesus rose from the dead first thing in the morning, right? Early in the morning. And so starting your day early in the morning
Rise from the dead.
Yeah, is nice. Is nice. So that's very, very important. And I know there are some parents, me first, I remember sitting in a pew and my kids were out of control, and sometimes they can still be out of control, depending on how they're feeling. But somebody tapped me on my shoulder once and said, 8 years. It'll take you 8 years for them to get better. 8 years. This is what he said. When my kid was probably 2 years old or 3 years old. 8 years, and that never left me. And so it's not an overnight thing. You must have been
daunted when he said 8 years. 8 years of this.
It was, but it also gave me confidence because everyone has gone through it. Okay, so you're not the only person. So that's so important that you just get them going to Mass. It's routine, and when they're not going to Mass, they'll be like, "Hang on," and hopefully that's not happening. But if they ever felt like they weren't going to Mass, they say, "Aren't we going to church today? It's Sunday."
Yeah.
So it's so important.
And I did as a kid. We went this one Sunday. The whole day went, and I noticed we didn't go to church.
Yeah.
For that one Sunday, and I felt it.
That's right.
When it's ingrained in you, so you're ingraining those habits in your children.
That's right.
So let's go into the 3 practical tools. I think you already started.
Yeah.
Basically, what are the 3 practical tools that we can, for those prospective parents like myself, God willing, current parents, young parents, older parents, people who have come back to the Catholic faith. What are 3 ways to key fundamentals raising Catholic children? And by raising Catholic children, we don't mean just Sunday Mass, just drag them to church, just get in the habit of Catholicism. We mean a real deal. Raising children who are in love with our Lord, who have a relationship with our Lord, and want to get to heaven, and are on, and basically I call it a part of the church militant, fighting for the salvation of their souls, and they want to help others get to heaven.
So
authentically Catholic.
Yeah. So I think I know you're trying to frame them up into 3, but honestly, there's so many things you can do. Another thing.
Off the 3.
I know, but the other point that I wanted to make.
Go to 4.
All right.
Go to as many as you want.
Okay. The other point I wanted to make was, the father, how important the father's role is. And I've heard this stat before, and I'm sure it's been mentioned to you before as well. But if a father is going to Mass regularly, then there's a over 90% chance that your children will go to church weekly for the rest of their lives because the father has gone to Mass. It's a huge
As the
stat.
leader.
As the leader.
As the protector and
If
provider.
the father is not going to Mass, and let's say the mother's going to Mass regularly, but not the father, then that percentage drops to 20 or 30%.
Yep.
It's a massive drop.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so that's really important. What's also important is in this day and age, we know what the gospel is before you go to Mass. Today, the day's gospel.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what the reflection is. So it's very important on a Sunday morning that you have a chat to your children before you get to church and let them know what today's gospel's about and give them a 2-minute summary. Okay, last week...
Before Mass.
Yeah,
maybe an hour before Mass or in the morning.
Before Mass, while they're getting ready.
To keep it fresh.
Whatever.
Yeah, there you go.
So, I mean, in the Maronite rite, where in the week of the prodigal son.
Yep.
In Lent, week 4 in Lent. So that's a great story to tell your kid, the prodigal son. And so telling them that story is very, very important so that when they get to Mass, they hear it again and they remember those words, and so they're more likely to receive the information and take it in.
So they've already heard it, so you give them a prerequisite.
The other biggest thing that we need to get on, and I'll say this because it's very important, it is today's digital media.
Yes,
okay?
That's a big one.
Very, very, very big. So big. Massive. So what I mean by that is watching TV, listening to the radio, and obviously jumping on the internet, right? 3 things, okay? So when it comes to TV, I don't let my children watch free-to-air TV.
Yes.
I don't let them watch free-to-air.
Good.
Okay? In other words, I don't let them watch live TV. Don't watch live TV. Okay? Watch TV that has been recorded. Okay? So, for example, my kids love Ninja Warrior. Okay?
Yeah.
They love Ninja Warrior. You know, the men are jumping and competing in an obstacle course. I don't mind Ninja Warrior.
Yeah.
But the problem with Ninja Warrior is there's always an intro on that competitor right at the beginning of the show. Okay? And I guarantee you're going to get 3 out of 10 who say they're in a same-sex relationship and, you know, they just proposed to their, you know, a lady just proposed to her wife or something, and they show wedding, you know, photos or something. I don't want my kid watching that. Okay?
Exactly.
It's very important. Now, I can talk to them about it. That's a whole different story.
It's not a concern for us. We'll watch that and we know better. But at that age, we can't underestimate how vulnerable they are.
They're vulnerable.
Their perceptions.
That's right.
And we need to take it seriously. And that's why Netflix, I don't like the idea of live TV, these live things, you know, commercials. I don't want that stuff. Mm-hmm. I pick what I want to watch.
That's right.
And I watch it even
on
as
demand.
an adult.
On demand.
Beautiful.
That's it.
Excellent.
So that's very important because you're screening it, and then even if you're watching we can watch the Ninja Warriors, but I'm always fast forwarding it until they start their obstacle course.
Exactly.
Straight
Beautiful,
in.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's very important. The second thing is, don't listen to radio. Okay, listen to shows like this. Listen to shows like this. Voice of Charity.
17:01 a.m.
Put it on.
Or
Put
you
it
can
on.
find us on TV Maria live on television. So
24/7. Make sure your car has religious content going on.
And you can. A lot of cars are digitalized anyway, so you can put on
whether it's the rosary that you've got, whether it's Voice of Charity,
17:01 a.m.
whether it's podcasts,
which you can control again.
All right,
what you're listening
and
to.
then there's also really good Catholic music, really good. I love it.
We'll talk a bit about some of your Catholic music a little bit later.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so you do some Catholic rap.
I do, yeah.
Yeah, you do.
I do.
We've got to hear some of that. That's amazing. I heard some of it on YouTube. Was it on YouTube? It was on Facebook.
I'm not sure. I think my wife, she takes care of all that.
You did play it when I came over to the store. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, on one of the... That's right. That's right.
That's amazing.
So, that's just another example. And so, actually, while you said that, I mean, I've made a song about the Litany of Our Lady, okay? The Litany of Our Lady. Now, try and memorize that. It's very, very difficult, to memorize the Litany of Our Lady.
Yeah, for most people.
Okay? But my kids know it because of the song that I made, right? And they just sing that song and they know the litany, all right? And they know it right through.
Yes. So often prayers.
So Holy Mary, pray for me. Holy Mother of God, Holy Mystery.
That's it. It's
exactly. And they get it. They understand it. So listening to content, because actually, if anything, that's more important than TV. Okay?
Yep.
It's more important than TV because it's actually going into your head a lot easier. When you're listening to something in the car, you catch on far quicker.
Yep.
All right? And I've always said, I mean, people may say, well, you're a bit over the top here or whatever, but I'll tell you why. If you listen to Today FM, let's just say as an example, and there's some good music.
Yep.
All right, and catchy tunes and everything. And what's wrong with it? I'm happy it's Friday. Let's play some music.
Yeah,
okay.
There you go.
However, if you do that, listen to music, okay, anything, all right, you don't realize the undertones in those songs, okay, first of all. And then second of all is you're on YouTube and you go, oh, I love that song. I want to watch the video clip to that song.
There you go.
Okay.
And then that starts.
And then because I love that song, I want to watch the video clip. So I play the video clip. And then what's going to happen on that video clip? You're going to see pornography, basically.
Yeah, basically.
It is.
But it's also the beats and the underlying tones. So they really don't help you spiritually.
They don't.
I believe Father John Rizzo, exorcist for the Diocese of Parramatta, came here and he's actually coming on next week again, recommended that we should look up the lyrics. You should get Spotify, find means of collecting your music, and then filter out what you're listening to with lyrics and beats. If you have hard metal, rock, could be demonic influences there. So really filter out what you're listening to. But that's absolutely phenomenal. And maybe after the break we can talk a little bit about education.
Yes.
I mean, that's an important one especially. So stay tuned here. We'll be back shortly. Kyrie eleison. Kyrie eleison. Kyrie eleison. Christe eleison. Christe eleison. Christe welcome back to another week on the Catholic Toolbox, the Art of Practical Catholicism. I'm your host and founder, George Manassa, here as we equip you with practical solutions to live your Catholic faith in our modern world of today. And we're continuing our interesting discussion about raising Catholic kids with founder of Catholic Apparel, Andre Abuhab. So, we're continuing our discussion here.
Yes.
I'm very excited to really get into Catholic education now on raising Catholic children. Mm-hmm. We've gone through 3 very important practical tools that you can use. So you can go back and listen, and take the 3 practical tools from a father and founder of Catholic Apparel. So for those who want to get their shirts or Catholic wear, I mean, I have my St. Michael here on the back. Make sure you go to catholicapparel.com.au and get your apparel. I mean,
That's
you can
right.
get any saint or any kind of...
Follow us on Instagram as well.
At Catholic Apparel.
Yeah, catholicapparel.com.au.
Or they can visit you in Belfield.
In store, yeah, in store. And to be honest, that's my favourite. That's my choice of the favourite choice of people coming into my store, because I get to have conversations and I hear fantastic stories from customers, inspirational stories.
I think it'd be a great conversation. It's a great conversation starter.
It's just iron sharpening iron all the time. So people come in and they just tell me about their stories.
I mean, something as small as in my workplace, just people offer me food and I'm just sorry, I'm fasting. But you're not Muslim. You're Catholic. I'm like, yeah, I'm Catholic. So it's Lent.
That's right.
9 times out of 10 they're all Catholics.
That's right.
So, and there's a conversation starter. I mean, how much more so wearing something Catholic? It's a great way to start a conversation. It's an effortless way to sort of show someone something of the faith, and then they ask you questions about it, and that's done for you. You don't have to bring up the faith. So it breaks the ice for you, I think. But so, I mean, it's really practical. The Art of Practical Catholicism. Get a shirt.
It is. I mean, what we're doing here is literally the practical tips that
wear it. Start some conversations.
People listening on here.
Yep.
We're doing it. That's so important. Another thing that I wanted to touch on in the home, I think you mentioned about educating our kids.
Let's talk about Catholic education.
Yes.
The big hot topic.
Yes.
I think last year was a hot topic, and this year's it's a hot topic.
So look, Catholic education for me, my school is a fantastic school. I send my kids to St. Charbel's in Punchbowl.
Oh yes, absolutely.
And so we've got a monk as a principal. And so nothing's going to get through that armor.
Another
right?
St. Charbel as a principal.
Yeah, that's right.
St. Charbel looking.
So that's very important, right? But so I probably won't go into that side of education, but more so in the home. So there've been 2 things.
We might leave that for Dr. Robert Haddad.
Yeah, probably
on a next episode.
Yes,
possibly.
that's right.
Yes.
Yeah. And Doctor's a champion. And so, in terms of educating in the home. For my son's first Holy Communion, I bought him a gift called the Lego Catechism. Okay?
What is that?
It's called the Lego Catechism. Amazing book. And so it's got Lego figurines in the book. It's a hardcover, and they run through the catechism in Lego figurines. And it's so awesome. I read a couple of pages. My son the other day was giving me typologies between Moses and Jesus that he learnt from this book, at 8 years old. So that was very important. So Lego, good reading material in the home. Obviously, if they're going to sleep, you want to have them read something before they go to bed. Yep. And potentially it could just be a Catholic...
With some photos as well, you need some animation.
You can get some really good books from Prayer and Bloom. They were just in our store just on the weekend,
Prayer and Bloom. I recommend you check them out.
Yeah, very good. And I mean, there are many places, but that's just one example, okay? And then also there's Formed, which...
Yes, I did hear of Formed,
If you guys haven't heard of that, it's an app that you can download. And to be honest, I'm not sure if it's free or not, but regardless... Check
it out.
Check it out. So it's got Catholic movies, Catholic documentaries...
they have cartoon movies.
Cartoons of the saints, all there. Now, if you can't afford that, then I suggest go on YouTube. All right, on YouTube, it's called Christian Kids TV. I think it is Christian Kids TV, and they've got about 10 or 12 minute videos, cartoons of every saint you can think of, and you learn about their story.
Wow!
They've even got St. Charbel. They've even got St. Charbel MacLuth. I'm like, whoa! How did St. Charbel MacLuth get on here?
Oh, the famous mystic.
I know.
Why wouldn't St. Charbel make it on there?
You're exactly right. But in terms of of content, so they sit there, they're entertained, okay, and they learn about their saints. Yep. And so that's very, very important. And that's basically the 3 areas there that I think is very important.
I mean, they're very powerful areas. So what would you recommend in discerning a good Catholic school for most parents? Because that's the biggest concern. Like, sure, some people, a lot of Catholics, especially my generation now coming through, us millennials, a lot will be homeschooling. It's become very prominent. You know, people just want to take control of their children's education as primary educators. But for those who want to send their kids to a school, what's a good way to discern, from your experience as a father, you and Sarah,
so
a big shout out.
Yeah, that's right.
We can't forget.
Make sure the kids are asleep. No, just kidding. So look, I think the most important thing, first of all, is it all begins in the home. Okay, yeah. Because a lot of parents think, you know what, I'll just take it easy. I'll send them to school and they can deal with faith formation.
Yes.
No, I'm sorry.
Not in these days.
You can send them to the most holy school on earth, and the formation remains at home. Okay, if you think it's going to happen at school, then you're going to be rudely shocked. No. All right, we'd love for that to happen, but they're there also to learn about math and about science and about whatever.
Exactly, things that you probably can't.
So religion is just a small
like it helps for them portion. To go to mass and pray and learn from the priest there.
Absolutely. So,
but again, it comes back to the parents. You're the primary educators.
To the parents.
That's not going to make that. You hold more weight as parents.
That's right.
Yes.
So that's the first thing, and the other thing is, you know them by their fruits.
Yes.
Okay. So if you know, I once went to a sports store to buy my son some footy boots.
Yes.
Okay. And my son was wearing his school uniform. Mm-hmm. Another kid there from year 11, who I believe is the school is the school captain now.
Yes.
Out of nowhere, okay, comes past, taps me on the shoulder, says, "Hey boys, do you need help?" He's not even working for this sport place, right? He's come over and he's helped my son choose football boots, and when he was finished, he says, "Okay, see you later, guys. I'll see you around." And I immediately wrote to the school and I said, "You need to congratulate this person." And, you know, what he showed there was exactly who we need to be as Catholics. And the fact that he was wearing his school uniform and representing with respect, okay, he, for me, won me over. And they're examples of the fruit that I've seen from that school. Okay, obviously not everyone is going to be like that. Yeah, I do get that, but to receive such a good fruit from that particular person, are just tips from God to say, keep going, keep continuing down this path, you know. And I think the other thing as well that we need to be really, really careful about is we need to support our teachers. Okay, because
that's a big thing.
Yeah, it's so important. Because if you want them to be good to our children, then we need to support them. If we're just going out and pointing fingers all the time and just saying, "Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? Why are you doing that?" Then it's not going to lead to a good result.
Andre, we have a question here from Mary, who's emailed us through. Hi, Andre. I love the pointers that you've raised about bringing up kids in the Catholic faith. You're very vigilant in making sure that you're leading them to the right path. You are one extraordinary father. Would you be able to share how you also run your relationship with your wife and how you manage your family together? Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you very much, Mary, for your question.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a great question. And I think it comes back to my original point, which was...
The wife is watching.
It starts with the mother and father.
Yes.
And so...
Back to the foundation.
It starts with the foundation.
Before you get married. Yeah. Discerning marriage, entering marriage, and
that's
now
right.
As a mother and father.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And so, again, you know, it begins with before you're married even, okay? Before you're married even. Don't fake it, okay? Don't fake it just so your girlfriend can fall in love with you and get married one day, all right? Be the person who you are, okay?
If you want to be better, be better.
Exactly. And if you love your faith, you need to show that. Don't hide it, okay? Because we all want to hide our faith and say it's just a Sunday thing. Don't do that. Okay, be upfront, but also be straight up, and choose, okay, a Catholic girl, all right?
Yes.
Don't.
Or guys.
Okay. See, girls for guys and guys for girls. Yeah. So that's really important.
Yeah.
Okay, it's so important.
Yeah.
Because I get it. Love, love is, people fall in love and whoever it may be, and they're a great person and they move forward. Okay, but if you want to set the right platform, make sure she's Catholic and going to church, or he's Catholic and they're going to church.
Absolutely. Look,
it's so important, because if it's not, then it comes back to those stats that I was talking about before. If the father's going alone or the mother's going alone, then it's going to fall back onto your children.
Yeah, so find someone who's a practicing Catholic. Look, I'm of the opinion, I don't believe your faith will grow if you marry somebody who is not a practicing Catholic or someone from another religion. It's just the stark reality.
Yeah.
That if they're supposed to help you, if they're supposed to be your PT to get to heaven, and they're not even a PT or not even wanting to train you, how are you going to get fitter, spiritually fitter to get to heaven?
That's right.
Like, I mean, really, if you're single, you're young, you haven't discerned or entered into a committed relationship, step back, set your standard, and do not compromise your standard. Because when you compromise your standard, it's going to lead to a lot of spiritual hardship.
So, so for example, I met my wife at church, okay?
There you go. Because naturally you are a practicing Catholic,
That's
therefore naturally you associate at the church, everywhere else, the circles that you
Now I'm far from perfect, and my wife would be the first one to tell me.
Yes.
Okay?
And I'm in there as well.
I'm far from perfect, all right? I've got a lot of things to work on.
Yeah.
However, if you're all on the same page and believe in the one Holy Catholic and Apostolic Church, and you pray the creed together, and you're not having to get into debates of Orthodox versus Catholicism or, Protestants versus Catholics, then you've started 20 steps ahead.
And may I add there, not even just, we can even say within the church, unfortunately, practicing Catholicism versus non-practicing Catholicism.
So true.
May we have the whole new
But that's a better
evangelization to
start.
work on. Yes.
But that's a better start.
Find someone who's practicing the Catholic faith.
They may not be deep in their faith, but at least they're going to church every week.
And they want to grow close to
exactly.
God. And that should be the baseline. You can help each other grow from there.
100%.
But if someone's...
That's the baseline.
I reject church teaching. Yeah. I don't believe in the church. I don't go to church. It's not about going to church, but I don't believe in what the church teaches. I'm, making up my mind still.
I don't like the Pope.
The church... Obviously, when you deny one or two more of the teachings of the church, you're not in you with the church. So look, I think it's very important. It's not like we're trying to point fingers and say, look, don't do this. But this is not just a friendship. This is discerning marriage.
It's getting each other into heaven.
Everybody.
It's getting each other into heaven. It comes back to that.
We're friends with everybody. I'm friends with atheists, Muslims, Protestants, name it.
And by us being a witness, they're seeing what out the fruit coming from our.
But we're talking about the sacrament of marriage. Who you're going to be spending the rest of your life with, giving yourself totally to, having children with. That's a higher step
marriage
up.
Prep. Marriage prep. So
I'm
important.
on marriage prep class 3 now, so we'll be going to class 4.
So important. So important.
Yes.
So so look,
Powerful.
That's the answer to your question. I mean, obviously, I have to, have a loving relationship with my wife. That's so important. We can't just it's all about the children and forget about each other. So that's very important.
That's often the case. Do you find?
I have a wonderful mother-in-law actually, and she'll probably love to hear this. And
She's listening.
A lot of people who hear who come over and see my mother-in-law like, man, where did you get this mother-in-law from? Unbelievable! Like, I want a mother-in-law like that. So she's awesome. And she's there to help us out if we want to go out or,
that's it,
husband and wife together. So, you've got to organise all that as well. It's very important. But again, we have to be a team, and you have to choose who that person is, because all that follows in the future. Don't make it hard on yourself. It's already hard in today's world. Don't make it extra hard.
And what about when challenges arise in raising children? Let's say a child is struggling, with some difficulties, and let's say that they hit some tough stages in their life as they're growing up. how do you console them, and because often that's where sometimes it leads them to doubt.
Yes.
From my experience and
Yes.
from speaking to different people.
Yes.
How do you console them and allow them to grow in their faith during those trials?
So first of all is you need to be there and reassure them that we've been through exactly that same path. We've been there before.
Yep.
Okay, most kids don't want to know about that. Oh no, Dad, it's different for me than it was for you. No, it's not. It's exactly the same.
Yep.
Okay, whether it's school bullying, whether it's not being good at something, or whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and it comes back to our faith. I'll always tell my children, last is first. Just drain it into their head. Last is first. Do the jobs that nobody else wants to do. That if you're seeing some rubbish on the footpath, pick up the rubbish. Don't let somebody else do it. You do it. Now, obviously, they're not there, all right? And they're all fighting over who's going to get the first ice cream, or fighting about which toy is theirs or which Pokemon card is theirs, all right? That's still there, but we need to just keep drilling that into them. And so when they're in a position where they're struggling, then that's the narrow path. It's the narrow. You're on the narrow path. You just need to, Dad, just calm down. Last is first. God, losing is better than winning.
Yep.
And just start from there. Start from there. Get there. Build some confidence, and just tell them, have some fun. Stop thinking about it too much. Just go out there and have some fun. So that's probably the tip that I've got. Just bring it back to the faith all the time, and start with where last is first. And everything in Catholicism is the opposite.
Yes.
So if you're first in something and people are patting you on your shoulder and saying you're great and whatever, then be worried. Be worried at that point, because that's not going to lead you anywhere but to pride.
So I just wanted to ask about, what about when they hit teenagehood? Those years.
That hasn't happened yet.
That hasn't happened yet for you.
That hasn't happened yet for me. I know another father. I won't mention his name, but he's got teenage kids, and it's a whole different ball game. It's a whole different ball game. Actually, there's a really good Catholic speaker. I forget his name. He's got a moustache, and he gives advice. He's a psychologist. He has like 8 or 9 children, and he's got tips on how to raise children, about teens and about things like that.
We'll have to find that out.
Moustache.
Many kids.
He's so funny as well.
He's a psychologist.
He's so funny. He's actually really funny. I think he's on EWTN as well.
EWTN. We'll have to look it up. Yeah, we'll have to find that out. So if it's a psychologist, that's some great insight actually from a psychologist on how to raise children. But I think the pressures of the world are really what are paramount in drifting our youth astray today, really, because we live, again, what you said, television, radio, the pop culture, peers. It goes back to the school, what you're listening to, that whole environment that we put ourselves in. We need to regulate that. And I believe personally, as a child, from my perspective, sometimes, in a strict Maronite home, sometimes parents, they want the best, but they can sometimes be strict, but they don't explain things. But I think really, as a child...
It's very important. It's a really good point.
Yes, it's good to be strong in your faith, everything, I think, is to explain.
The why.
The question, why?
The why.
Why are we doing this? Okay. Let's say an exercise might be that, your son did something wrong. You might punish him, but I want you to think about why. Why am I punishing you? What did you do wrong? And we want to have a discussion about it, and to convince them so that, even when you're not looking, they will consciously make that decision without you.
100%.
To train them so you don't have to micromanage them for the rest of their life.
That's right.
Because I think that's what happens often the time. We micromanage our kids to the point, and we need to raise them to the point where they hit 15, 16, 17, 18. And by the way, I don't believe in youth culture forever, I think this youth culture, sometimes we push youth to 35. It doesn't promote people growing up quicker. I think, once you hit 20, 21, you're a man, you're a woman, you should be responsible, you should be informed. I don't believe in stretching to 35, 40, that we're still young. That's just my opinion and the research I've seen.
And the other thing as well that I forgot to touch on earlier is let's say you're a dad, all
Yeah.
right? Let's fast forward, God willing,
God willing.
okay? And I pray for
no.
those who are still, from the bottom of my heart,
Yeah.
those who are still trying to conceive, okay?
Yes, and
From
we
the
pray
bottom
for
of my heart, God is listening to your prayers. Just be patient; it'll all happen. But you know, in a situation where you know, you're a father, okay, and you want to be a good Catholic as well, the first vocation is in the home. So I don't know if you can keep being a host on this show, for example, once you're a father. Okay, you can be.
We plan to.
Yeah, you can be.
Maybe get my kids involved. My kids might host.
Well done. You nailed it right there. Okay?
Yes.
Getting your kids involved in what you're doing. Who cares? They're in here.
Yeah.
Okay? I bring my son in.
That's what I'd ask you. Will you continue the Catholic apparel when your kids?
Well,
you're already doing.
The first thing I agreed with my wife was we are not going to let the shop run our life. Okay?
Exactly.
It's not going to run our life. And so our kids have to be part of the journey. There's no good me standing having 2-hour conversations with people while my kids are at home. Okay, and they're struggling and dad's not around. Just forget about it. You know, changing a nappy is praying a rosary.
Exactly.
It's praying a rosary.
It's work that's sanctified.
It is.
That can become holy.
You know, so that's
your vocation.
Yeah,
it's your moral obligation.
That's so important. The other thing is
getting them involved.
Yeah, let them experience the farm. Have they been to the farm before?
Yep.
Okay, let them experience it. You know, we went to once on a weekend, and the first time I've been to a farm since I was a kid, and I saw snow for the first time. We had no reception, so we couldn't get on devices, and it was the most amazing weekend. I enjoyed it, and that was I'm like, wow, I need to do this again. Yep. So, and kids are tougher on the farm. They get up, they work for, you know, it's not just turn the air conditioning on. It's work for that heat. Go cut some timber, put it in the fireplace, then get some heat.
Yes.
You know, or whatever it may be. Go help in the field. That's so important. And I can tell you that, you know, about this whole new evangelization, there's a whole new movement around that as well. People just going to move in the farm, not to get away from.
I am hearing this everywhere.
Not to get away from the city because we don't want to fight. Okay, because we
staying on the outskirts of the city.
No. But honestly, in saying that, people need us in the city, in Sin City. They need us.
They need us.
They need to see us as witnesses in there. If we go away from them, because they're our patients, they're our hospital. If we're going away from them, then we're saying it's okay for you to be sick and die of terminal cancer.
Yeah.
That's not right.
Yeah.
We need to help them.
Exactly.
Okay? So we need to strike a balance. Don't just go out and forget about the rest, because our job is to get each other into heaven. We're all children of God, every single one of us. And somewhere along the line, someone's done something crazy, and someone's done something bad to them, and they've just headed down the wrong path, and now they can't get out, and they're stuck. So the last thing we want to do is
isolate ourselves
and giving them no hope.
Exactly. So we want to be in the world, but we want
not
to grow holy. Yes, exactly. We want that balance. We're hybrid.
That's right.
We want to get into hybrid.
So maybe weekends, try and get to a farm if you can.
So even our Lord needed to retreat.
Yes.
He went up to Mount Tabor.
Isn't that so cool?
I won't forget the retreat by Father John Flater years ago in Kentus. He started off the meditation by saying, our Lord went up to Mount Tabor. Even he needed a retreat.
That's right.
I think often getting away from the busy lifestyle.
Remember when the crowd was pushing in and he had to get onto the boat? And he said, they're pushing in on me.
Even he needed a break.
Give me the boat, Peter. Hurry up. What are you waiting for? So that's super important.
Yeah, exactly.
And the other thing that I forgot to mention.
But he came back
that's
to the mainland.
Of course.
And he carried out his ministry.
Of course.
But he had that balance.
That's right.
That's perfect.
Yeah. So like retreats, we go away from retreats and you come back and it's like, oh my gosh,
but
I was in heaven.
sometimes you need a retreat for yourself spiritually.
Yeah.
But other retreats are a vocation.
If somebody's listening, guys, what are we doing? There needs to be family retreats.
Family retreats.
Yes, there needs to be family retreats. Father and mother going away with the family. And the kids are being entertained and they're learning about their faith in one area of the retreat. And the mother and the father, there's men's sessions, there's women's sessions.
To my understanding, there is. It's run by often the Opus Dei affiliated schools, the PARED schools, like Redfield, Tangara, Wollongong, Montgrove, where they have father-son camps.
Yes.
Or mother-and-daughter camp, which they run on the same weekend.
Amazing.
That is phenomenal.
Yeah.
I mean, a father-son with a bunch of fathers and sons all
but
together.
as a father, I know that's a gap. That's a gap today.
Yes.
And if there is, we don't know about it. And if they are organising it, then...
But we can do it. You don't need an organisation to it. Get your family out there.
True.
Get. Let's say if you have brothers, get the uncles and the sons together.
True.
Go on a retreat. Teach them manly skills.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Teach them how to pray. I mean, you'd be filled with testosterone when you come back.
The last thing I'll say is if you're praying a family rosary, it's nice to pray it. When the kids are obviously in their bedrooms, right? It's nice to do that, because sometimes I know some people say, oh, no, they're going to fall asleep. But it's a beautiful thing to fall asleep praying the rosary, because that's the last thing that they're thinking of, right? And they're going to sleep peacefully. But if you can, as a family, pray the rosary in the evening, whether it's 6:30 or 7 o'clock, whatever it may be, but try and make that time for family rosary. And if they're young, okay, I've got this tactic that I use. I don't know if it's approved by the church or whatever, but I'll just say it anyway.
That's all right. I'll sense you.
So on the rosary, pray 2 Hail Marys only per decade. Okay, just 2. So, but run through the mysteries, get them to know how to do the rosary.
That's a start.
Yes, so I believe in God with the Apostles' Creed. You say your 3 Hail Marys, your first Our Father. Run through the first mystery. Pray 2 Hail Marys only. All right, 1 Our Father, 2 Hail Marys. Move to the next one. Just complete the whole cycle. Your rosary's finished in 10 minutes maximum.
Yep.
Okay, and they've got something out of it. And as they grow older, extend it. Move to 5. Move to 7, move to 10.
Get them in those habits.
Yeah.
I think we're on fire, Andre. And let's go to our last question before we get off air. And that is from Lisa. Lisa asks through Facebook Live, Andre, what advice do you give to parents who hesitate to take their kids, toddlers, to church on Sundays?
Well, again, it's just an example. If you're not, I mean, let's just say, okay, I know it's difficult for young mothers. I know it. They've got young children, and they're having to give them the bottle and walk out in and out 10 times, and you end up not hearing the mass. So it ends up being an inconvenience.
Yes.
But it is about, again, it's about the fact that you are showing them that this is their home, okay, and for them to believe that this is their home, they need to be there as often as being at home.
Exactly.
So
it's the fact that I was at mass so often with my parents and my cousins and everything that it became my home.
That's right.
I have that living experience.
That's right. So from
a young
8
age.
days, as soon as they're out of the 40-day period, whatever, take them to church. Okay.
They receive grace as toddlers.
Yeah, go up, and the priest will bless them with the Eucharist.
Yes.
It is. Oh my gosh, it's like. It's given them gold. It's given them more than gold. It's that great pearl that you sell everything to buy.
Absolutely.
And so if you're not doing that, then you're not trying to get your kids into heaven.
Exactly. I think that's a blunt saying. I fully back that.
Yeah, you're not getting your kids into heaven by leaving them at home.
That's some powerful stuff. We're on fire tonight. I absolutely had so much fun. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for inviting me.
Pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
It's my pleasure, absolutely. Thank you for tuning in to the Catholic Toolbox, the Art of Practical Catholicism. I'm your host and founder, George Manassa. Until next week, God bless, take care, and take action.